There are very few things that the anime community agrees on as a whole. Some love the war arc, some hate the war arc, some love the way Gon is written as a main character, some find it boring. But one thing that most people agree on is that there are some incredibly written anime characters and there is some incredibly poorly written anime characters. And one of these characters who's regarded as poorly written is pretty universally agreed on, and that is Sakura. You see, I am actually a relatively large defender of Sakura. She actually shines in her own regards in the light novels, but unfortunately we don't always get to see those stories put on the main stage. This is mostly because Kishimoto himself does not write the light novels, and therefore the only time she gets shine is when he's just co-writing. But Sakura isn't even the only person in Naruto who's poorly written. There's actually a lot of people who I would rewrite. Sakura is just the biggest and most glaring. But we can sit here and say we want Sakura rewritten, but unless we talk about how we want her rewritten, we're really not getting any logical or useful information out. So consider this the first part in a series of anime characters rewritten. This is going to be a somewhat departure from my usual informational content, as it'll be more dependent on my own personal feelings and thoughts. But as somebody who knows the lore for Naruto probably better than anybody else on Earth, a lot of the conclusions I come to about characters are based on a lot of facts. And I'd like to think I have enough creativity up here to write characters in an interesting and compelling way. So without further ado, let's get into rewriting Sakura. But first, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys are looking for more NC Hammer 23 content, I'm going to be posting 2 to 3 times a week on my brand new YouTube page, NC Gamer 23, where I play video games offline. Offline as in non-live streaming. Before we get into all that, guys, today we have a new sponsor, NordPass. Listen, when you're like me and you have to spend the entirety of your day stuffing your head with as much knowledge as possible that may or may not be useless, sometimes the things that are very useful get lost. And one of those very useful things that I tend to lose quite often is passwords. Listen, I made my Yahoo email 14 years ago. You think I remember what that password was? That's where NordPass comes into play. NordPass is a password manager, but it's also much more than that. It is an essential cybersecurity tool that makes everybody's life who uses it significantly easier. This is a tool created by the people who created NordVPN, one of the most widely used and effective VPNs on the market today. So why should you download NordPass? Well, one, you get to store all of your passwords in one place. This way you don't have to look around for scraps of paper where you wrote down your errant passwords. NordPass also allows you to log in faster, having an autofill feature that will autofill your password. NordPass will also help you generate safe passwords. Listen, it's lovely you used your mother's name as your password, but that's not going to be secure. NordPass also allows you to shop faster because you can store your personal information and credit card info on NordPass, and it will fill it out for you at checkout. But since we're talking about saving time, NordPass can also be spread between 6 of your devices. If you got a smartphone, a tablet, a work computer, a gaming computer, a laptop, and a flip cell phone, you can share NordPass on all of those devices. But on top of that, NordPass offers you security in the form of a data breach scanner. You can identify if your personal information or credit card information has been leaked and where it was leaked from. NordPass also offers password health checkups. The app will see if your passwords are older than 90 days, weak, or just need updating. And I know what you're saying, well, this sounds like a lot of information to give an app. But NordPass is a zero-knowledge password manager, meaning that all of your information is encrypted and only you can see it. Not even the people who work at NordPass can. So what are you guys waiting for? Save some time and put your mind at ease with NordPass. Get an exclusive NordPass deal and an additional month free by using my link, nordpass.com/nchammer, or using the code NCHammer at checkout. Let's get to protecting these passwords. So Sakura, before we get to fixing her, we should probably establish what some of the problems we want to fix are in the first place. Sakura to me is unfortunately cast into the unfortunate classic stereotype for a woman in shonen. Women in shonen are often put in a role where they're said they're powerful, but that power is never shown. In Sakura's case, her strength and medical prowess and her physical strength are talked about in ridiculously high regard in terms of verbal lore. Naruto is always saying she's the strongest person in the village physically. Sasuke and Naruto both marvel at her medical prowess. But unfortunately, the reason that this archetype exists is to tout these powerful characters and have them lose so they can be saved by the stronger MCs. You see, Sakura gets very few times to actually show her full strength, and more often than not, she's thrown into a situation to demonstrate how high the level of competition truly is. Oh, if Sakura, one of the strongest people in the village, can't be in there, then only Naruto and Sasuke should be in this battle. This is what I like to call telling, not showing. You see, my guy had a moment in the war arc, Night Guy specifically, where he was able to show his power and not talk about it. And his power was acknowledged by everybody on the battlefield, Madara, Kakashi. This is a well-written scenario where by showing the power of a character, you establish the baseline of power on the battlefield. But the scenarios that we see with Sakura is just that she has been touted as strong, and when she's defeated, that is supposed to show you that the person they're fighting is above Sakura. So that's my first problem. My second problem is Sakura's dependency on men, specifically the main characters of the show, like Naruto and Sasuke and Kakashi. This is from both a power perspective and a plot perspective. Sakura is often saved by either Naruto, Sasuke, or Kakashi, or all three at once, which makes her the damsel in distress, and not a Kunaichi who should be side by side with her fellow shinobi. It makes her more of an object than a person, because she is the object that needs to be protected and has no free will of its own. But that's not even the worst part, to me at least. You see, Sakura is often saying how she wants to get stronger, so she can be as strong as both Naruto and Sasuke, which is another unfortunate stereotype for women in shonen. The fact that they are basing their entire personality and want to get stronger off the men of the show. Yes, you could say her want to get stronger or as strong as Naruto and Sasuke makes sense because they live in vicinity of each other. But both Naruto and Sasuke have their own independent reasons to get stronger that are not based off other people. Sasuke wants to get stronger so he can kill his brother. That is a motivation. And yes, it is based off the want to be stronger than Itachi, but for a reason that is filled out with contextual backstory. Naruto wants to be strong enough to bring back Sasuke, which once again is obviously based off another person, but once again is filled out with contextual backstory. Sakura's want to be as strong as both Naruto and Sasuke is not filled with anything contextually other than her getting her ass kicked. Sakura shouldn't want to get stronger to be like them. Sakura should want to get stronger for herself. Sakura shouldn't be focusing on not being a burden. Sakura should focus on helping in a way that she can, in a way that's unique to her. And yes, she does achieve that to a small degree with Tsunade's training, but there's a different way I would have approached it that we'll crack into later. And my last plot point is kind of a derivative of the previous one. The last unfortunate stereotype of shonen women is their willingness to deal with abuse. By depicting women as malleable little creatures who you can treat however you'd like, and in the end they'll still end up with you, is both toxic masculinity and just kind of wrong. But unfortunately, this is exactly what happens with Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura constantly is physically, mentally, and verbally abused by the object of her affection. And this is vastly beyond what you would find in even cases of a tsundere. It is full-on abuse, which is all forgiven at the drop of a hat. This once again objectifies Sakura, essentially just making her an object that Sasuke can push away and take to him whenever he wants. So now that we've established the 3 points we want to talk about here, let's rewrite Sakura. One of the biggest points that people bring up around hating Sakura is the fact that she made fun of an orphan for being an orphan in front of an orphan. For those of you who don't remember this moment, in the first couple of episodes of Naruto, before Sakura had even cut her hair, she's talking to Sasuke. And she's saying that Naruto had nobody to bring him up, and that's why he's so churlish and immature, essentially making fun of him for being an orphan in front of a person who watched his entire family die. And it's at this point that Sasuke reprimands her for saying this. I mean, he literally lost his family. He is also an orphan. And I have absolutely no problem with this moment happening. In fact, I actually think this is a fantastic moment. Arguably one of the best moments in Naruto proper. It's just everything that came after this moment was a mistake. You can create Sakura as a bad, immature person who hates on Naruto for not understanding him. But you can use Sasuke reprimanding her as a turning point for her personality. Have Sakura begin to look at Naruto in a different light after she sees that him and Sasuke were raised similarly. Make her realize everything that Naruto has to go through and the strength required to do that. Make her look at her life with her two parents and realize how blessed she is, and use that as an opportunity to form a bond with Naruto. See, there was technically nothing ever stopping Kishimoto from writing Naruto and Sasuke like Nobara and Yuji from JJK. Very different characters who come together platonically to back each other up. And sure, Naruto can still have a crush on her, I have no problem with that, but a growing relationship out of understanding for the differences in their situations would have been a much better start for their friendships, instead of her being a running gag in the object of Naruto's affection, which essentially minimized her to the least important part of a love triangle between Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. And while we're talking about moments where Sakura didn't look great, let's talk about the Chunin exams. Sakura in the Chunin exams is, for all intents and purposes, useless. The only thing that she essentially accomplished in terms of utility during the Chunin exams was cutting her own hair, which is very classic shonen woman. Her ability and her contribution was tied to a cosmetic change. Oh, and by the way, cutting her hair accomplishes next to nothing because she's simply saved by Ina Shikacho. And Rock Lee was also saving her during the duration of this entire fight. But once again, I have no issue with her being weak here. She is a genin of no special regard. The Haranos have no clan-specific Kekkei Genkai like the Nara or the Akamichi or the Yamanaka. She doesn't have Sharingan. She doesn't have the massive amount of chakra Naruto has. She's just a person at this point. But just like with the orphan comment, this has a massive opportunity to act as a teaching moment for Sakura. You see, Sakura identifies that everybody but her has a thing. Ino has mind transfer jutsu, that's her rival. Sasuke has got a curse mark and the Sharingan. Shikamaru has his shadows. Choji can turn into a boulder. And she has kunai, but she doesn't even have kunai in the way that Tenten has kunai. She's just got one. So after the results of the Chunin exam and her being eliminated, obviously, through what is arguably the worst fight in Naruto, have her start to take the initiative to make herself stronger. Not because she wants to match Naruto or Sasuke, because she wants to be stronger for herself. And not to not be a burden to Naruto and Sasuke, she wants to be stronger so she can contribute to Konoha's war effort or something like that. This way she's driven through her own means. And during the Konoha Crush arc, Kakashi says that she releases herself from the Genjutsu because she has a massive proclivity for Genjutsu. So have her reach out to Kakashi in order to train. And this is also a problem with how Kakashi is written, because Kakashi focuses solely on both Sasuke and Naruto. But Kakashi is arguably one of the best people to teach Sakura about Genjutsu, considering the fact he has a Sharingan. But maybe he identifies that he's not the right person to teach her Genjutsu because his Sharingan doesn't focus around Genjutsu. And also, obstacle-based Genjutsu is different from the Genjutsu that Kurenai uses. So have Kakashi direct Sakura to Kurenai to feed what is the growing fire of her Genjutsu prowess, which gives Sakura a thing that nobody else in the Konoha 13 ever really has. Yes, obviously Sasuke has Genjutsu, but neither of his eyes are focused on Genjutsu, like Tsukiyomi or Kodo Matsukame, or what Obito used on Yagura. Amongst the Uchihas, he's actually rather weak with Genjutsu, and outside of him, nobody else uses it. So in the early stages of Naruto, make Sakura a Genjutsu master. This even fits with her personality, considering the fact that she wasn't the forefront battle type. You can even use her Genjutsu prowess to make her a support character for Sasuke and Naruto, but at least it gives her something to help the team. And sure, it probably wouldn't make her as powerful or more powerful than Sasuke or Naruto, but it would give her something to be on their level with. A contribution is a contribution, no matter how big or small. I don't care if Sakura loses every single fight she is in Naruto. Hell, Vegeta does, and people think he is one of the best written characters in Dragon Ball. Don't have her be the object you need to save. Have her go out on her shield, and sure, maybe somebody else can step in like a Goku, but at the end of the day, she gave it her all. And that Genjutsu prowess carries her throughout the rest of Naruto. And that Genjutsu prowess would also do something to separate her from being a carbon copy of Tsunade. Because at the end of the day, I have no issue with Sakura training with Tsunade. I have an issue with her motivations. Once again, Sakura reaches out to Tsunade so she can be as strong as Naruto and Sasuke, who she sees are separating from her in terms of power. Why not just have her see Choji or somebody else who's been injured during the Sasuke retrieval arc and want to find a way to protect and heal those people? Why not have Sakura admire the way that Tsunade was literally able to derive a cure for the red pill that Choji took as a motivation for her to become a healer herself. She has seen so many people grievously injured, and there was nothing she could do about it. That way she would have a motivation that was unique to her. So now Sakura is not only incredible in medical ninjutsu and very strong, she's also practiced in Genjutsu, making her an all-around very well-versed kunaichi who could separate herself from Tsunade, because Kishimoto only knows how to write one type of powerful woman. And then obviously when she's training with Tsunade, we're smash cutting to Shippuden, where upon Naruto's return, they should be greeting each other as relative equals. I don't want to hear about you healing a fish. That's stupid. Do a montage of everything Sakura's achieved in the couple of years Naruto has been gone with Tsunade. Show her formulating antidotes for poisons, curing hurt ninja, being sent out with teams she wasn't a part of to protect and heal people, and then double down on the Genjutsu thing. Say she split time between Tsunade and Kurenai. I mean, think about her motivations. She wants Sasuke back to the village as bad as Naruto does, if not worse. But she knows that he is incredibly practiced in Genjutsu. Wouldn't it make even the smallest amount of sense to assume that she trained in Genjutsu to counter his? And since we're talking about early Shippuden, let's talk about the time that Sai, Sakura, and Naruto and Yamato fought Sasuke. You know, the time when Orochimaru had to stop Sasuke from using Kirin? In this fight, Sasuke Chidori streams Naruto and he passes out, stabs Yamato, and kicks Sai away, which leaves only Sakura and Sasuke for like a moment. This is actually one of the few moments where I believe Sakura was somewhat well written. You see, Naruto had just been taken out by Sasuke's Chidori stream, and Sakura was subsequently beat by him. So I don't think it's that big of a deal that she was so easily dispatched when Naruto had the same thing happen to him. And then after this encounter, Sakura says to Naruto that they should both get stronger. And it was moments like these where I was like, oh my god, in Shippuden, we're gonna get a competent Sakura. Sakura driven by her own ideals and wants, who can bang with the big boys. I was wrong, because the only time that Sakura takes the center stage is in the Sasori fight. And she is very impressive in the Sasori fight. Let's not get that twisted at all. But she is not even the main character of that entire battle. It's Granny Chiyu, who is 85 years old and from a different village. And yes, of course, she has history with Sasori, and it's one of the greatest stories in Naruto. Oh, why did we choose to give the shine to a side character who went on to die as opposed to an existing main character, going so far as to attach strings to Sakura so Granny Chiyu can control her and take all of the credit? See, because if we're being real, Sakura probably did the majority of the work in that battle, but because Granny Chiyu was controlling her, it's gonna get taken away from her. Write the Sasori fight very similarly. You can have Granny Chiyu and Sakura pull up to it, but have Granny Chiyu and Sakura work collaboratively, not just Sakura being controlled by Granny Chiyu, because this once again literally objectifies her. She becomes a physical puppet. Have Granny Chiyu put pressure with her 10 puppets and Sakura blends into the puppets with a cloak or something like that to sneak up on Sasori and destroy a lot of his puppets. There's no reason that Sakura should have to be controlled by Granny Chiyu. She is incredibly fast, strong, and smart. Puppets were created to replace soldiers in the hidden sand, not use them. But after the Sasori fight, she does have another moment to shine, and she does exactly the opposite of that. You see, in the Land of Iron arc, we get a nice little moment from Sakura, where she's essentially fallen on the sentimentality that she doesn't want Naruto to go after Sasuke anymore. She's afraid that Naruto will get hurt, and she actually cares about Naruto at this point. But instead of talking to Naruto like a human, she decides to lie to him about loving him, knowing that he has had a crush on her for many years. Once again, boiling her down to a love object. You see, there's moments like this where a different training could have come in for Sakura. She doesn't want Naruto to go after Sasuke. She could use Genjutsu on it, or she could talk to him like a human. She could orate the fact that she's lost faith in Sasuke's return to Konoha, and that she believes their safety and the safety of Konoha is more important than him returning. And she could actually mean that. You see, essentially she's trying to get Naruto to stop looking for Sasuke so she can kill Sasuke. She could tell Naruto that plan. She could have done anything but make up the fact that she was in love with Naruto. Because what if he said yes? What if he took her up on her offer to be together? What happens then, Sakura? Obviously, Naruto rejects her and yells at her, and she should take that as a growing moment. This is basically no different from when she made fun of Naruto for being an orphan. She's minimizing his humanity. She figured that his mission was so baseline, so low effort, that her being in love with him would be enough to stop him from looking for Sasuke. She couldn't apply the thought that maybe he has motivations of his own. So while I have no problem with her trying to stop Naruto, that actually makes a lot of sense. Talking to him like a human would have helped. Or deciding to work with him. Hell, I wouldn't even mind if she said, I'll help you look for him, and then tries to kill him when they find him. Sasuke, that is. Because that would have given her layers in depth to her character, as opposed to making her the bad guy. Needlessly, I might add. Because 3 episodes later, she gets her chance to kill Sasuke in what is arguably the worst offender in the entirety of Naruto, episode 209. Sasuke has just killed Danzo, and Sakura finds him low on chakra, and Sasuke immediately gets a stranglehold over her brain, telling her to kill Kari, who, by the way, he had just run through with a Chidori spear. It's not like she saves your life like 6 times, dude. But Sakura is trying to play it off like she's going to do this so she can attack him. But before she can even get the chance, Sasuke reads her like a book and attacks her. And then she has to be saved by Kakashi. And then, while Kakashi and Sasuke are fighting, she tries to attack him again so she can be saved again by Naruto. I'm not kidding. In 4 minutes, she gets saved from Sasuke twice, making her quite literally just a child on the battlefield. I mean, she does nothing. Have her actually fight Sasuke. Use her insane strength to crack his Susanoo ribcage. Use her Genjutsu prowess to counter his. Use her speed to dodge his Amaterasu. Use her medical prowess to blow open his chakra nodes. And she'll lose, obviously, she has to, because if she actually killed Sasuke, the story would have been kind of over, but have her go out on her shield. In this one moment, she was no different from how she was in the Chunin exams. All she tried to do was stab him with a kunai, which is what she did in episode 40 of the Chunin exams. We have in over 400 episodes of content given Sakura no new visual prowess. By visual prowess, I mean like shown powers. She is still just holding a kunai. And when she loses, sure, Kakashi and Naruto can step in. In fact, I would love it if Kakashi and Naruto saw them fighting and let it happen. Kakashi and Naruto see Sakura's strength, acknowledge it, and let her fight Sasuke alone. Because Sakura, maybe more than anybody else in Konoha, has the right to want to fight Sasuke. Hell, my ideal circumstance would be kind of like what happens after Naruto and Kakashi pulls up. Maybe Sakura backs Sasuke into a corner and he has to retreat. It's not like it's a full strength Sasuke. He did just kill Danzo. Like, why? Why couldn't it have been Sakura? Based on how much power Sasuke had in that moment, Sakura should have been able to bang with him. The only explainable reason is, girl, have Sakura be encouraged by this battle with Sasuke. It's validation that she's getting stronger, and have her use that validation to double down on her studies. Have her create a jutsu while studying under Tsunade that even Tsunade hadn't thought of. Do like a long distance heal where Sakura can emit chakra from a long distance away to do medical ninjutsu. Because as it stands right now, medical ninjutsu, you need to be touching the person or something. I'm just making things up. But have Sakura find a way to actually physically separate herself from Tsunade. I mean, obviously give her the strength of 100 seal, but outside of that, separate herself. Obviously, the next big thing is the war arc. My biggest problem with Sakura in the war arc is that every time we cut to her, she's thinking of Sasuke. Why? There is a war between all 5 great shinobi villages and 1 Uchiha. 20,000 people die. You are a medic. Sakura should be on the front lines healing as many people as she can. She should not be written to think about Sasuke at all. There is much more important and pressing things going on. Show her using this long distance jutsu healing or whatever she's created. Show her battling off the reincarnated shinobi with her genjutsu, her strength, and her medical prowess. Hell, if Tsunade can get a moment where she cracks Madara's ribcage, why can't Sakura? Yes, obviously she brings Naruto back from the brink of death, and that's awesome for her. She's probably the only medical ninja on Earth who could do that. But there are so many other times that medical prowess could have been used, like with Neji. And as we get to the later parts of the war arc, obviously Naruto and Sasuke get these massive power-ups, right? Naruto gets Sage's 6th path chakra, Sasuke gets the Rinne Sharingan. It's a 6-tome Rinnegan, I know. But after they get these power-ups, Naruto becomes Ninja Jesus for a couple of minutes. He saves Might Guy's life, he saves Obito's life, he brings back Kakashi's eye. Why give that power to Naruto? It makes no sense for Naruto to be a healer. He has never once been a healer. Sure, he can spread his chakra cloaks to people, which can up their chakra and therefore their mitotic regeneration, but he's never been a healer. You know who on Team 7 was a healer? Sakura. Have Hagoromo acknowledge Naruto and Sasuke as reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. Wonderful. Have Naruto get a dumb amount of chakra, get the true secret orbs, all of that. Sasuke gets the 6-tome Rinnegan. Awesome. But have Hagoromo go, I don't recognize you as one of my reincarnations to Sakura, but you fully embody the way of the ninja, the way of Ninshu that I've been trying to spread. Hagoromo's entire idea by spreading Ninshu was to bring people together on a spiritual level. He wanted human unity. Say that Sakura's war efforts to save those around her and her entire life's commitment to healing people makes her the symbolization of the spread of ninja, and give her the ninja Jesus bit. She can heal Might Guy. It would make sense coming from her. She can heal Obito. It would make sense coming from her. She can heal Kakashi's eye. It would make sense coming from her. And then once again, she wouldn't have to be left behind by Naruto and Sasuke, who just got hacks when she didn't. Her whole thing was she got the strength of 100 seal, and now she was as strong as the boys, which shouldn't be what she's focusing on, but then they get hacks and she doesn't, so she gets left behind. Give the one that makes sense for her to her. Like, I just can't even wrap my mind around how Kishimoto didn't think of this. Then have all three of them approach Kaguya as equals. And then once Naruto and Sasuke blow each other's arms off, Sakura is able to heal both of them. And we don't have to deal with Naruto's got a Hashirama cell arm, which means he technically should be able to use wood release and doesn't, and Sasuke is paying for his crimes by being one arm. Even though if he got a Hashirama cell arm, he would awaken a Rinnegan in his other eye. It is the biggest plot hole in the war arc. Well, at least it's the biggest plot hole that spun out of the war arc. Just have Sakura grow them new arms. Hell, she can lose the Ninja Jesus ability after the war arc is done as well. As we all know, Naruto doesn't have it anymore. And that's it. That's how I would rewrite Sakura. I didn't think I was gonna get so angry over this. It's so easy to write powerful women. You just write them like you would. Stick with me here, a man. But what did you guys think? Did you enjoy this rewriting series? Would you like to see me rewrite more characters from Naruto and anime in general? Tell me in the comments below. And while you're down there, guys, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you're looking for more NC Hammer 23 content, guys, I made another YouTube page, NC Gamer 23, where I play video games. Man, I have hopes that Sarada won't have the same path that Sakura has, but as I watch more and more Boruto, I see her getting more and more phased out for Kawaki to take more shine, and it's just like watching a train crash in slow motion.